Welcome to the Geek, the History Geek. I'm Mr. Hodges. As loyal Americans, we all know why we celebrate Independence Day on July 4th. We can all tell you what happened and why. Every elementary school kid has been taught the stories, right? But is what we were taught and what we remember correct? Stay with me as we learn more about this important U.S. holiday. We will examine the origins, the history, the important people, and even cover some cool holiday-related facts that you can share with your friends, family, and people you know. Time to suit up! Nice. Looks like we're ready to go. Following the shots fired between the Massachusetts colonists and the British forces at Lexington Concord, these events would lead to a tense standoff around Boston. This standoff would eventually lead to the Battle of Breed's Hill, better known as Bunker Hill, and would work to further stiffen the resolve of both sides. Other military actions would continue to take place from, Montreal in Canada to Fort Ticonderoga in New York, through places like Virginia and throughout many of the other colonies, and even as far away as South Carolina. Now, these would continue to shape the conflict, which at the time looked more like a civil war between the British citizens of the colonies fighting for their English rights and the mother colony of England. All of that would change with the ideas and writings of one man. When Thomas Paine wrote and published the pamphlet Common Sense in January of 1776, it presented the idea of independence in a very simple and easy to understand way for all of the colonists to understand and to discuss. Pamphlets were an important medium of that time period for spreading ideas, and this 47-page pamphlet would be no different, rapidly selling about 500,000 copies. Common Sense questioned the idea of a small island of England controlling the colonies and shifted the focus from the colonists' grievances with the mother country to that of uniting many of the average citizens and their colonial leaders behind a move towards independence. On June 7th, during a session of the Second Continental Congress, Richard Henry Lee presented a motion calling for independence for the colonies. Now, this caused an immediate, heated debate and led to a postponement on the vote on this resolution. However, 4 days later, on June 11th, the Congress proceeded to appoint a 5-man committee to draft a formal statement with reasons why independence should be declared. The people assigned to this committee were Roger Sherman of Connecticut, Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, Robert Livingston of New York, John Adams of Massachusetts, and Thomas Jefferson of Virginia. The work of this committee would take place over the next 3 weeks and would be presented to the Congress when it reconvened on July 1st. The resolution, based on the draft of the Declaration of Independence, was adopted by 12 of the 13 colonies on July 2nd, meaning independence was declared on July 2nd. Wait, what? July 2nd? But that's not July 4th. How can we celebrate on the 4th? Are you confused? Well, John Adams would agree with you. He wrote a letter to his wife Abigail, and in it he said that he believed that July 2nd would be celebrated by successive generations as the great anniversary festival. He said that it ought to be commemorated as a day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shoes and games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other from this time forward forevermore. So how did we end up celebrating on July 4th? Well, you see, Congress worked on editing the draft copy of the Declaration by making some changes, by removing some things and by adding some things, changing some wording. And this was done on the 2nd and 3rd of July. The final copy, with all the completed edits, was actually adopted by the Congress and sent to the printers on July 4th, 1776. The date that we recognize as Independence Day is actually based on the date on the document and the date the final copy was adopted. This is the date we recognize as being independent of Britain and becoming our own country. Therefore, this is the birthday of the United States. How cool is that? So if the 4th is the date on the final copy, and that was the date it was adopted and sent to the printers, then the people found out that day too, right? Nope. This actually took quite a bit of time to happen because copies had to be printed and then sent out by horseback courier to the various colonies. The reading of the Declaration of Independence to the citizens of Philadelphia happened on July 8th. On July 9th, General Washington had it read to the Continental Army, and by August 10th, it was starting to be read to the citizens in different areas across faraway Georgia. The British Parliament and the King didn't even receive their copy until August 30th, 1776. So surely the signing of the Declaration of Independence happened on July 4th, right? Nope. Even though the famous 12-foot by 18-foot John Trumbull painting hanging in the Grand Rotunda of the U.S. Capitol shows all of the delegates present to sign the Declaration of Independence, it is important to note that this event never actually happened. The actual signing event did not happen until almost a month later, on August 2nd. While many of the delegates to the Continental Congress signed on that date, several delegates did not sign till several weeks after. In fact, two of the delegates, John Dickinson and Robert Livingston, never signed the document at all. Here are some other really cool facts about Independence Day. Of the first 5 presidents, 3 of these, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Monroe, all died on July 4th. Even more interesting is the fact that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, which was, coincidentally, the 50th anniversary of the approval of the final copy of the Declaration of Independence. Kind of spooky, isn't it? Well, I will leave you on a lighter note with one last Independence Day fact. Apparently, John Adams was so stuck on the July 2nd date that he would reportedly turn down invitations to appear at July 4th events in the years following in a form of protest. Now, he obviously couldn't do this when he died. Fate does seem to have a sense of humor. Well, I want to end this video by wishing the United States a happy birthday. As you attend or participate in your parade, enjoy your town's fireworks, your cookout, your picnic, swim in your pool, take a trip, go camping, or simply enjoy an extra day off. Whatever you do this Independence Day, I encourage you to take the time to read this amazing document. Think about the courage of the men that made the decision to split from England, men that had everything to lose, and the consequences that they would face if caught by the British forces or if the attempt to break away from the British had failed. Think about the document itself and its significance to our country. It has shaped many of our beliefs. If you want more information about the Declaration of Independence, check out my video covering that topic. And as always, if you like this video, I would encourage you to share it with others, and please vote for more history by giving it a like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications for future videos. Well, until next time, when I ask the question, did you know? I'm Mr. Hodges, and this is the History Geek.